All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're talking about tackling network access control, or NAC, reducing your risk and actually improving your security posture, all without blowing up your business operations. Look, if you're a CISO, a CIO, or a network admin, you already know strong network security is absolutely non-negotiable. But let's be real, the fear of breaking things along the way, it literally stops us in our tracks. So today, we're going to look at a completely pragmatic, risk-free path to strengthening your security using Aruba ClearPass.
We've got a tight roadmap for you today. We'll start with the fear of NAC adoption, introduce monitor-only mode, look at getting real data with zero disruption, cover the 180-day advantage, and finally, chart a confident path to zero trust.
So Section 1, the fear of NAC adoption. Why do these projects stall out?
It's a super common question, right? Why do so many NAC projects just hit a brick wall before they even get off the ground? Well, the issue definitely isn't a lack of understanding. Every IT pro knows securing the network is vital. The real barrier is fear. The very real fear that flipping the switch on deployment is going to cause unplanned outages, massive friction, and just generally wreak havoc on the production environment. It's the fear of the unknown, plain and simple.
And honestly, that fear, it's totally valid. We're talking about nightmare scenarios here. Unexpected user lockouts, the sudden appearance of broken printers that worked perfectly just yesterday, or misclassified IoT devices just randomly dropping offline. And the true cost of those operational failures isn't just downtime, it's eroded executive confidence. Let's face it, if a security initiative breaks the business, trust in the IT and security teams goes right out the window.
Moving right along to Section 2, enter monitor-only mode, getting that security visibility without the business disruption.
Okay, so the real game changer here is Aruba ClearPass Monitor-Only mode. What it does is observe authentication activity and profile devices. But here is the crucial part. It intentionally avoids any enforcement actions. That means no new VLANs, no changing user roles, and absolutely no enforcing access control lists. By running ClearPass in monitor-only mode, you get to process authentications and evaluate your policies, but you're not actually enforcing those access changes yet. Your existing network behavior, it stays completely untouched. Day-to-day operations just keep humming along uninterrupted.
Think about the old way of doing this. The traditional NAC, leap of faith, means you're relying on assumptions, or maybe perfectly sterile LAD environments that honestly never reflect the messy reality of your actual network. Now contrast that with the ClearPath way. It uses observation on real, live production traffic with zero changes to existing behavior. You're not crossing your fingers and guessing what's going to happen. You are literally watching what is happening, all during a totally safe, low-risk observation period. Which brings us to Section 3, real data, zero disruption, making informed security decisions based on concrete insight. Just think for a second about the sheer variety of devices hanging out on a modern network. You've got employees, contractors, and guests bringing in their own phones and laptops. But then we also have this massive influx of non-human endpoints, right? The printers, the security cameras, those random unmanaged IoT smart TVs sitting in the conference rooms. Well, instead of just guessing what might be connected, you actually gain high-fidelity, concrete insight into exactly who and what is on your network. And again, this is derived entirely from live production data, no guesswork.
All of this activity shows up clearly in the ClearPass Access Tracker, and there is zero risk to the user experience. You can see the actual outcomes of 802.1x authentications, MAC authentication bypass, or MAB for all those headless IoT devices, and your guest network logins. Because there's no enforcement happening yet, your security teams can safely sit back and observe edge cases, spot legacy risks, and pinpoint authentication failures long before a single device is ever actually blocked. You're essentially turning potential outages into just really useful observations.
The whole philosophy here is brilliantly simple. Admins can go ahead and build roles, create profiling rules, and set up enforcement logic, all while simply observing what would have happened if enforcement were enabled. You're not just hoping the policy works, you're actively proving it works on your actual data. No nasty surprises, no 3 a.m. outages. Let's jump into Section 4, the 180-day advantage, giving you the time to align stakeholders and operating models.
180. That's the number of days you get in the Aruba ClearPass Extended Evaluation License. It is purposefully designed to lower your organizational risk during this whole security transformation. 6 months is a massive runway, right? And it exists specifically to align perfectly with risk-based security governance and your standard change management best practices.
Basically, this 180-day window takes what is usually a totally stressful, rushed rollout and turns it into a calm, methodical 4-step process. Step 1. You baseline your access behavior so you actually know what normal looks like for your org. Step 2. You fine-tune your profiling and policies based on that real-world data you collected. Step 3 is huge, defining exception handling for your business-critical systems and socializing those outcomes with IT, security, and operations. Getting everyone on the same page is just absolutely key. And finally, step 4, you plan a phased, highly auditable enforcement strategy. You don't have to just blindly flip a master switch. You can slowly, carefully tighten the net.
And that leads us right into Section 5, Confident Path to Zero Trust, a predictable transition to secure networking.
Ultimately, the transition to full enforcement becomes a measured, low-risk step, not a leap of faith. When your organization is finally ready to turn on enforcement, you aren't crossing your fingers and holding your breath. Your decision is backed up by months of validated behavior, heavily documented outcomes, and that vital executive alignment we talked about. You've essentially been simulating the deployment on your live network for months.
So the big executive takeaway here is this. NAC becomes a controlled strategic initiative. It is no longer a disruptive technical event. By taking the enforcement risk completely off the table during those early stages, dramatically improving your visibility, and making production-safe validation the standard, your org can aggressively pursue zero-trust principles and do it without introducing a single drop of operational risk to your production environments.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to ask yourself this. If NAC adoption in your organization has been planned, but somehow never quite deployed because everyone's terrified of the impact, are you finally ready to take the leap of faith out of your security strategy? Think about how a monitor-only approach really does offer the safest, most measurable way forward for your network, turning what used to be a super daunting project into a seamless, confident transformation. Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep building those resilient, risk-free environments.